Redi, we'd love to hear from you. We've seen your beautiful face and you've been so quiet up there. Now, this is the other skill that COVID has taught me, is that when you conference remotely, do not look at the picture of the person, look at the camera. Right?
Yes.
Right, because otherwise you'll get your eye lines all wrong. Redi, it's such a privilege and a pleasure always to welcome you. Sorry the distance separates us today, but we're glad that you're here and that you can speak to us about the importance of renewing one's purpose, staying the course in a world that seems increasingly unjust and detached. Redi.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm really, really glad to be in this space. And as you were all saying, your introductory remarks and your commentary, I was thinking I am the personification of the demands on women, because the reason I can't be with you, I am living with somebody who needs some care in our home. I have 2 little children running around. I can see them with the corner of my eye somewhere in the garden. And my 4-year-old asked me, are you going to have your conference in the cottage or in the bedroom? When I say the bedroom, she takes that to mean she can just open my door and just walk in. When I say the cottage, she knows that it is a no-go area. So this is where I am, so that I can have some uninterrupted time with you. Thank you so much for being flexible, for adapting, for allowing me to still lean in and participate, even though I have these demands on me as a wife, as a daughter, and as a mother. You know, Doreen, I wrote off 2020, not in a negative way. I wrote it off in that I gave myself permission to not complete certain tasks. I gave myself permission to have different goals, different ideas, a different energy. I gave myself the permission to be as productive as my emotional health could possibly allow me. In my line of work, content producing, selling that content, because that's the entrepreneurial part of broadcasting, there are lots of things that were signed off in February that didn't come to fruition. And there's absolutely nothing I can do about that. Those that I've been able to rescue, I rescued them, but others have fallen by the wayside, and it's okay. I'm giving myself permission to mourn that which I have lost, but also know that where there's still life, where there's still a purpose, there's a reason to exist. And I'll kind of rejig things again next year. But just on purpose, I think that when I went through the entries from our phenomenal entrepreneurs, from our phenomenal women, young and old, and I mean that not in terms of age, but in terms of years of existence from a business point of view. When you take that and you look at our political landscape and the rot that is still permeating the air from the PPE scandals and the corruption that we didn't expect to be experiencing at this desperate time, the entrepreneurs and everybody else, you have to think quite profoundly about, why do I exist? I don't exist so that I can weaken others, so that I can have all the resources to myself. And that goes to your idea as well, Susie, about sharing. We are seeing small businesses that have no credibility, that have allowed themselves to be part of this kind of political game. And I think if you are an entrepreneur, not just in South Africa, but anywhere in the world, you have to think very deeply about your contribution to society beyond your business offering. You have to think about what role you play in the larger society. Are you a builder or are you a destroyer? You have to think about the values of your existence, the values that you espouse as a business, as an individual. And if there are some who hold power and they want us to believe that the only way to do business in South Africa and in the world is to be oppressive, is to exclude and to take everything by yourself, for yourself. That's the only way you're going to get business. We ought to, as entrepreneurs, as professionals, as citizens, reject that. We have to insist that there's a different way of doing business and that we'll play by the book. And I think it's not just a simplistic legal framework, but it's also about the ethics. Who are we? What do we aspire to be? What kind of citizens, corporate citizens, do we want to be? We don't want to be the kind of corporate citizens that steal from the country and therefore impoverish the whole nation. So that's something that I think very, very carefully about. And another example that I used, that I'd like to use that is more international, is that in the early days of COVID, there was a sense that there's a French pharmaceutical company that was striding ahead in the development of a vaccine. We know that there are more now. Immediately thereafter, there was talk that America, led by we know who, was trying to lock them in so that the vaccine, if it's developed, becomes available to America only. The French president, Emmanuel Macron, took it, was very offended by that because the pharmaceutical company is French. So that drives home the purpose issue, that we can't be individualistic as business people and as professionals. We've got to think about the greater good. And we are in this era, Susie, where somehow sharing is a swear word. Somehow sharing means that we are weak. Somehow having empathy means that we're not strong. So it's kind of that whole macho survival of the fittest. And that's the kind of business practice that I'd like us to really reject. And I'm addressing the young entrepreneurs in particular, that sharing is not weakness, that our political leaders have shown that they like dominance, they like the one-upmanship. But I think, Doreen, quite deeply, and that's why I'm very comfortable challenging even the man or woman who occupies the highest office in the land, because I live by that truth, that this is not just their country, it is ours too. It is ours too. And they cannot have the sole authority to set the tone and culture and vision. We have to participate in that democracy. And I tell young people all the time, participating doesn't mean joining a political party, being a celebrity, being famous, being well-known. No. The decisions that you make, how you mentor the younger people in your family, in your community, the decisions that you make for your business, where you source your business from, who you hire, who you listen to, who you promote, whom you open the door for, all of that goes a long way in building a community, in building a society, and in building a country. So every day that I do my work, I think this is not just a broadcasting show. This is not just broadcasting content. What impact do I want to make? And am I representing the underdog? Am I telling the truth? Are these the values that I can defend years from now? And I think businesses now, as we see with state capture, as we see allegations of corruption with PPE, you have a big role to play in resetting the culture of ethics, of inclusion, and of sharing.
I agree.
We see that globally, as the US prepares for elections, as the UK can't figure itself out when it comes to Brexit and so on, that we have to reject distraction. I mean, I can get easily distracted sometimes, throw my passion into something and argue quite passionately about it, and then at the end of it, I think I've just wasted my energy. I've just lost focus on the very thing that I felt passionately about, because I've allowed someone with whatever intentions that they have. It could be a political person, an economic person, a friend, whatever. But just to really sharpen our focus, to just find out what is this about, and just not allow the background noise to remove our focus from that goal.
Yeah.